I call the meeting in order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Barb, do a roll call there?
Mayor Steve Feldman.
Present.
Councilmember Jerry Tveit.
Here.
Joe Muehlbauer.
Here.
Robert Bauer.
Here.
Rich Skordahl.
Here. All right, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Weemeyer makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Tveit makes a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, move on to approving the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
I'll make that
Mr.
motion.
Muehlbauer makes that motion. Do I have a second?
Mayor, I would second.
All right, Mr. Skordahl makes that second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, moving on to meeting open to the public. Barb, do we have anybody tonight?
Yes. Joel Morrell.
Hi, Joseph Morrell, 24360 Yukon Street, Northwest St. Francis, Minnesota, obviously 55070. I had a question about the $18,000 at the liquor store. The big hole in my backyard that they were red tagged on that still sits with a big pit back there filling up with water. God only knows what other kind of animals are back there falling in the hole, or kids going down the road. And then I guess I have a question about this Kings Highway project of $500,000 here. Thank you.
All right, well, as far as, John's not here to explain about the cameras, but the security cameras are within the budget of the liquor muni. It's an outdated system that needs to be upgraded. You have anything to say, Paul, about it? Because I believe it's a good thing myself. So, yeah. I mean, it's a budget item, been planned for quite a while, and again, it's an outdated system that they have. So, I think anybody else have any comments on that from the council?
I don't know if we had a history of theft at the liquor store or something. Is there an issue there?
I will look to our chief of police for that one. Mayor Council, there has been a history of theft. It's sporadic, but we have had a history just like any other business with theft, and their cameras are of poor quality.
And this gives you a better ability to, when you find someone, you've got evidence that's, more concrete.
Yeah, a lot of times we get the call after, and we have to review surveillance video to try to get suspect information.
Okay, now, one other thing you mentioned was that Riverbank Kings Highway, that's a project that we'll discuss this later on tonight, but that's a problem that's been going on for 30 years. You saw an engineering report, but this is in the discussion stage and concerns only the residents on Riverbank and Kings Highway. So you saw it in the packet if you read it. We'll discuss it a little bit more at the end of the meeting. But I can't tell you what else. I mean, it doesn't maybe concern you, but it concerns those residents, and that's something we're looking at. As far as the hole you're talking about, legally, we are taking legal steps. We put a work stop on that. Kate, is there anything around that pit that he says, that hole, to stop children from going into it? I know he had something that was taken down.
When the last time our building inspector was on site, there was yellow caution tape around it. If that is no longer in place, we would need to go back out there and cite it again.
Okay. Well, let's do something. One of the things we've been lucky on right now is the fact that the weather hasn't been really nice and warm for kids to go out. Okay, but kids notoriously, in caves and things like that, and holes like that, they're always moving, going around and exploring and stuff like that. I'd hate to see a child fall in there. That hole's about 8 to 10 feet, I believe, deep, something like that, and I mean, it's filled up with water, not from the rain, but from more hitting the water table. So this gentleman has been a problem. Legal is taking care of it along with the police and that. We are on top of it, but I would suggest we get some tape or something. Chief, if you can do that, or at least something, enforce something out there. But we need to stop, let kids know about that hole there.
Yellow pages
I don't think it's going to do either. So whatever we can do, I don't know what it may be.
prevents liability, but other than that,
I don't think, can you put any blockade of any kind like that? Any roadblock of any? Do we have any extra like that, Paul? Anything like that?
Mayor and council, that hole is pretty big and that ground is very wet and soft. I think it would require the owner to go out and stake either with that snow fencing or something very
Oh, good idea.
significant in order to really prevent anything.
Can we make him do that?
We can look at an abatement action.
Good. Well, then let's do that.
Okay.
All right? All right, because I don't want to see a child fall in it. And also prevention's a pound of cure. And that's been exposed way too long. We've been lucky. So, and the tape, like, the tape has been taken down, well, wind blows and stuff like that. But a snow fence would be a good idea.
Okay.
Okay. And Paul, do we have access to snow fence, don't we? Plenty of it? Okay, good. All right. I hope that answers your questions. Any more, Barb, for the public?
No.
Okay, that's it. All right, moving on to special business. Do we have any? None, I see. Public hearings, none. Old business, none. So moving on to new business. Ordinance 228, second series amendment, Sunday off sale liquor hours, first reading. You want to open up to a discussion on it all? Anybody?
We talked about it a little bit in the work session.
Right, and it's been in your packet, so.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance we talked about in the work session. Basically, in order to have Sunday sales, we need to change our code. So, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 228, second series amendment, Sunday off sale hours.
First reading.
Yeah, first reading.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Moore makes a second. Any further discussion?
I would like to just add before we're done with this topic is that the one change we talked about too in the work session was they were changing a few of the hours to, I think there was one less hour on a weekly basis. I believe they were opening up later. I'd have to look at it, to be honest with you, but it was basically to make up for that difference in hours, where it wouldn't cost anymore as far as operations.
During the week.
Yeah.
Because 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. is Sunday liquor by
Right.
state law. And so instead of opening up at 9 on the regular days, they'd open up at 10.
From what I understand. I think that's those hours.
Is that what everybody understood?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, this doesn't modify those hours, it just allows us
Right,
to sell
right,
on Sunday.
right, exactly.
Okay, just to make sure that everybody understands that.
Any further discussion? No? Barring none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I think we need to do
Do I have to read it? I'm sorry, do I have to read it?
It's an ordinance.
Oh, roll call, it's a roll call, it's an ordinance, that's correct, I'm standing corrected. I think one of my first one. All right, want to take a roll call, Barb, then?
Councilmember Tveit,
Aye.
Councilmember Muehlbauer,
Aye.
Mayor Feldman,
Aye.
Councilmember Bauer,
Aye.
Councilmember Scordo.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to the liquor store security system replacement. We just alluded to a little bit of that. Any discussion on that? We know it's in their budget, we know it's outdated. And as the chief said, it does give a better photographic image.
And outside too, it'll give us much better vehicle descriptions.
Yes, I'm assuming it was budgeted for last year.
Yeah. Paul, you have something to say?
I was just going to add that while it is in the budget, that we are looking at, they're having some intermittent failures with the equipment over there. Unattended, so to speak.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'm a big advocate of video surveillance. We've actually had the front door of our city hall smashed, and ironically, we don't have a camera at city hall either. So we've incurred damage in the past at our public works building. We've had property stolen at some of our old locations when we had our equipment all over town. We've had grappling hooks from Bobcats walk off, and because we don't have any video surveillance. And it's I think it's a great tool in the toolbox to help keep people honest.
Well, it definitely is a bunch of set of different eyes.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Nope, I agree. I think it's valid expense.
All right, so do we need a motion on this to, okay, do I have a motion to approve the liquor store security system replacement?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I have a first by Mr. Tveit. Do I have a second?
Mayor, I would second.
Mr. Skardal makes a second. Barring no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Nay? All right. Mr. Bueller votes no. Okay, 4-1. Motion passes. All right, now this moves down to that Kings Highway Riverbank engineer report. You know, this is a very time-consuming problem here, and it's been going on for quite a long time. I've done a lot of research, and I know some of the council's done that too, and we also have our engineer here tonight. What I'd like to do, I'm going to recommend here, that we put this to a special work session with one topic only, would be this. And the reason I'm asking for that is I'd like to get all the residents of that neighborhood. There's 29 residents involved in this. I'd like to get them involved. I'd like to get all the facts on the table. There's also some bonding some grant money that's possible. It's been underfunded since 2015. But the House came out today, the Legislative House came out with their bonding proposal, and that money is included in one of their expenditures. Whether that will work out through the Senate and through the governor when they all mingle it together in the next 3 weeks, we don't know yet, but it's a very good sign that it's at least being brought up. I talked to Patty over at the State MnDOT, and she was alluding to the fact that this funding could be available. She's pushing for it too, so we'll see how that works out. We'll know more at the time that if we get this work session coming up either at the end of May or the first part of June. But I'd like to recommend again that we bring this up into a way that will have more input from the public, of your residents that are involved, along with the city's input and the engineers in that. At this time, Craig, do you want to bring anything up about it yourself, or you have a plan, a proposal? You can
So,
bring- go
I
ahead.
guess just to touch on it real quick, you know, basically we did a quick walk through of the site, Paul and myself, and then these are just some preliminary solutions that we came up with. The main issue seems to be on the erosion side is areas where stormwater is collecting in yards and ditches, and then it finds a spot without a back slope and dumps. That's going on both roads on Kings Highway and Riverbank Lane. So that's kind of seems to be the main issue, and the other issue, of course, is the buildup of sediment in the ditches and all the culverts. I'd say probably 80% of the culverts are plugged. And then probably to a more minor issue is there's probably a few driveways that should have culverts that don't. They were never installed. So this memo was to get you an idea of what we think needs to be done and some costs associated with that. As you can see, we broke it down by street and by drainage based on their assessment policy. That's the reason for the two separate costs. But the only other thing I wanted to point out is at the end of the memo there, it talks about proposed improvements, and 1 through 4 are basically what we talked about. And the 5th one is paving the streets and adding some curb and gutter, not everywhere, just in some locations. 2 reasons for that is A, it's been hard to keep that road where it should be over the years, and the gravel on it. And B, I don't know that we can really resolve some of the issues without curb, especially on the east side of Riverbank Lane. If you drive out there, you'll see it comes off the road and it's basically down a 4-to-1. It'd be almost impossible to build ditches there. So 1 through 4 would probably fix the majority of the issues, at least for a while until sediment built up again and such. But I just wanted to point out that's why 5 is on there as a paving and curb. It isn't everywhere curb, it's just where needed. We don't think we could get ditches.
So paving throughout, and then curb and gutter.
Only
just-
where we need it.
Or only where we need it.
I think that would go a long ways. When I was out there, it seemed to be that the corners were kind of migrating a little wider and wider because people were cutting the corners a little bit. And you know, it's well, I mean, at one point, I mean, the road is about a foot from the 4-way street sign, and everybody knows that those are set back, you know.
Yeah, the widths have gotten wider.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
24 to 30, I believe, something like that.
Some spots where they're turning behind the streets, I
Yeah. So,
So basically, you're saying of the 5 things that you have listed here, it's clean sediment from ditches, remove and replace existing culverts and install flared end sections, reprofile ditches where needed, construct ditch back slopes where needed and possible. And number 5, pave streets, add curb and gutter in the areas that do not allow for ditching east side of Riverbank Lane. Okay.
So the total project cost, that includes number 5, so, right?
Correct.
Okay.
The estimated.
The only thing that doesn't include would be your $8,500 for the study and the survey. Is that, am I correct on that, or is that in there too?
That could be used to incorporate into the design, because we do a survey. I mean, just remember, we couldn't find any old plans, nothing on this area, so we were going out there and kind of guessing this ditch drains that way or this way. So I think the estimates are fairly close. I wouldn't do the study just to get better estimates, expecting better estimates. I would do the study if you want to move forward and maybe fix certain areas and not others.
Okay. Now, Paul, you know, you mentioned to me, and I saw that report there for Bolton and Mink last year when they came out with this in September of 2016, and it looked like they were going to pave everything and do everything with curb and gutter, because the price is way higher with them, so I'm like...
Yeah, the previous engineer did provide a little bit of a different strategy than what Craig has put together. He talked about doing some check dams, and again, going through and acquiring easements for ditch creation in the entire area, which it'd be pretty tough to do that in some of the areas. And then he also had an added cost in there to pave all the way out to Highway 47. The number that it was a rough estimate that we got from them. It was a much more larger number.
Mike, do you remember years ago when this was brought up, and do you remember, I mean, I understand that this was brought up back in the 90s, but Paul, you told me something like this, first of all, this plan was 2016.
05.
Was it 05 or something like that, where the neighbors, residents turned down a proposal of the city to them because of high assessment or something? Is that right? Do you remember anything like that?
We actually went to the city, and the mayor told me to get out and don't come back.
Okay. But do you remember any numbers at all? I mean,
No, I do not.
okay.
I don't even know if any cost was presented. They
They
didn't want to see us back again after coming here 3 times with most of the neighborhood presented, because the city said they were going to pay anything. That unless we had paid for it completely, we might as well just stay away.
And what time frame was this? What year was that?
That was at least probably 20 years ago.
20 years.
It was when Pete Carpy was on the city council. So,
Okay. Paul, do you have anything else to say?
We can look into some of that history.
Yeah. that's
It
okay.
goes back further than 20 years.
Yeah, I know. First time you were here said about 30 years. But Craig, you got anything else that you can, other than what you said already?
Mr. Mayor, can
Okay,
I-
please.
is there something else that we need to look at if we're going to have this discussion? I almost hate to say it because nobody wants to go down this road, but I think the guess was this is about a 1964-ish kind of infrastructure over there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I imagine the neighborhood is all well and septic, right? Just off the top of your head, I mean, we're talking septic systems that are 50-some years old. Are most of you on your original drain field, on your second drain field? And where I'm going is, we're gonna be faced with a lot of neighborhoods that are going to age, that are on well and septic, and at some point, you can't squeeze in another drain field. Do we have to have a discussion about, you know, we lay out a plan to go blacktop and stuff? Should we have a discussion about, well, if we're there, what would it take to sink water and sewer pipes? I'm not talking about running sewer all the way up to that neighborhood. But if we're gonna be there, and the day is gonna come when that neighborhood is probably going to need service, or is that a bigger question to tackle about a lot of neighborhoods in this city? Because I'm not 100% sure I know what our plan is when neighborhoods reach the 50, 60-year.
Most of the homes in that area are much newer. There's only 5 in that area that have
Okay, and that's the kind of stuff I'd like
Yeah.
to maybe bring forward to kind of talk about, because if,
I know mine is 45 years old, and I'm doing a new one right now.
okay,
I'm in the process of doing that, but what you're saying is making me hesitate, because that's $15,000.
no, I know, but I just want to, we should just be upfront with ourselves that,
No, I
you
understand.
know, if we're talking about having, maybe going down a road of a $500,000 project, and the reality is that, you know, septic systems don't last forever, let's just make sure we understand, you know, what's the best thing forward.
Excuse me, most of the homes back there are on 2.5 acres, majority of them. So there isn't a question of having enough land to do another drain field. There are a few along the river. Mike and Shelley's house, they have a substandard lot, and they don't have enough.
So I think what I'm saying is it worth giving, you know, if we have this work session, is it worth giving the engineer the action item to, you know, let's just make sure we understand, you know, this neighborhood's needs, not just today, but
Long term.
long term.
That's a good idea to bring up in the work session.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's a good idea to do a work session where we can really pound it out and get more than just yourselves. We've seen Shelley and Aaron here, but we need more, we need the whole resident, the whole area to get out here and get involved with this, to work out some solution. Is everybody on the council open to that, having a work session?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, too, here I got something that I found from last year with it, where it looks like the cost was over double what the current estimated costs are too from last year.
I mean, for that proposal?
Last year was more than this year from the estimated cost, but the proposal from the previous engineer, I think, was over $1 million.
It was 1.6 too.
Yeah, something like
And
that.
then another 70,000 for the report study, rather. Now, that doesn't mean it was apples to apples, oranges to oranges
Right,
either, so I
because they were going all the way
I would
out
say
to-
that too, because I mean, we don't know exactly everything about that, so I want to put that out, but I definitely, this is a issue that we want to confront, we don't want to run away from, but we need to talk about it in a different light, and the council meeting here is not going to happen, so we don't have the time here, no, we don't have the input from other residents, and I want all 5 council members on board with this too, and engineer and public works and everybody, so we'll get you a date. Okay, I know Joe Coleman is coming back next week to work. We have a May 22nd. You alluded that you're going to be gone,
Until the 24th.
so we'll probably do it in June, I would think. With the holiday coming up right after that, probably be the best way to go. But we'll get it all out, to get the information out, get it to you, get it to the public, and we'll get people to know to come. Okay, and then,
I believe we'd have to have public hearings from everybody too, if
Yeah.
we were to move forward with this.
yeah, the more input, the better, I think. And we'll most likely have it here. So we'll let you know when, where, time, and everything.
Great.
And then asking your help to get the word out too, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, and that will help us a lot. So if we all agree with that, we'll get back to you on that date and time.
Mayor, is it possible that you guys could maybe send some dates to
Yeah.
Mr. Cullen, just to kind of get some ideas going, so that when our administrator is back, he can look at his schedule and get something announced in the new year?
I guess that kind of brings us to the next topic too, though.
Motion's there right now, he wants to work.
This work session on the 22nd, I mean, for this, that would be probably in June. But for this work session, which, at the end of this month, obviously we'd have to talk about.
There's too much on that plate right now already.
Right.
That's why I say it really deserves a one topic session, because that's, otherwise we're gonna divvy up time between all of it. Our work sessions right now have been going
That's true.
3 hours plus anyway, so, we have a meeting the 5th and the 19th. So, I'll discuss it with Joe Coleman when he comes back, and if any, and then I'll put out, it's gonna be in June most likely, so, after the holiday, of course, and then we have a meeting on the 5th and the 19th, so somewhere in there, I would imagine 15th and 19th would be the way to go. We'll put out some dates, with each other, make a time, and then get it out to the public, let you know.
My work schedule is not printed until mid-May for June,
Okay.
so I won't know when I'm scheduled until
All right, that'll work out okay, though, because we're tied up this month anyway, so I can see what that work session. And again, we're not doing it on the 22nd work session because there's too many things on that plate already, and we want to devote the full session to Riverbank, okay? All right, so we just leave that like it is at that point. Moving on to setting a work session for a week of May 22nd. Is that good for everybody?
For me, the 22nd's ideal.
Okay, Jerry? You don't know yet, right?
Well, no, I have my May schedule,
Okay,
and 22nd is the only day that week that I work an afternoon shift.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it,
Two schedules.
Okay, all right, what other day could you do that?
I could do any other date besides the 22nd.
Okay. All right, let's just go. Rich? what do
But,
you-
I mean, oh, I'm sorry,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor.
No, go
You know,
ahead.
the topic was, you know, talking about chickens and whatnot, and I'm comfortable with whatever the council decides. I mean, we had a pretty good discussion last time, so,
Yeah, we have discussed that, so.
you know, I think in general, we're all probably on board, so.
Well, I'd like to have everybody there, though, if we can. I mean, because the brainstorming, and that always helps. I think it's a good idea myself, but, are you flexible anytime, or is it?
Right now, I could do the 22nd or 23rd, maybe the 24th. The 23rd would be preferable,
Okay.
Tuesday the 23rd.
Okay, so now it comes down to 23rd stuff.
23rd's the ISD 15.
Oh, that's right, the vote.
Vote.
The vote on bonding.
So we would want our
Yeah, that's
residents to
true.
get out and vote rather than,
And the 24th is this thing too.
Yeah. Okay.
So Thursday or Friday, are we available that week?
Right now, I am not.
There's something the following.
Okay.
We're supposed to get the meeting
And when is the holidays?
That'd be that actually.
that's the,
First
that
Monday.
following weekend,
Following
the
week?
26th, 27th, 28th.
And then 29th would be Memorial Day.
29th Memorial Day, so. Well, Jerry, are you all right not being there with that one, or?
I'm comfortable with it, that's fine, you know.
I don't want your input, but right now with that holiday, it kind of screws everything up.
Yeah.
The 23rd and 24th, we have that bond, right, and then we have the comp plan. Right, and you got the holiday, and people going out of town for the first holiday, so. How about if we leave it at the 22nd? Well, you know where you stand.
Yep, that's no problem. And if there is any questions, like in the past when Richard Stordahl missed that one, our city administrators called and said, hey, how do you feel?
Okay.
You know, one way or the other, and,
So can do that, yeah.
you know, that,
Unless,
Why can't we do it on Tuesday? Can't we vote before the meeting? I mean, we don't have the work session here, we have it up at City Hall, right?
right, yeah, good idea.
I mean, if you do your civic duty and vote before the work session, Tuesday is a viable day, correct?
Unless somebody wants to stand out at the front door campaigning against it, I think, you know.
Tuesday, I got a baseball game to go to. My kid's playing baseball. Well, those work sessions are at 5:30.
Yeah, and they last till
Okay. 9 o'clock.
Excuse me, on day of election, you can't have a public meeting
Oh,
from
you
6
can't?
to 8
Okay.
p.m.
Even on an ISD, huh? Okay.
All right. Let's start planning for Monday.
All right, the only thing I would bring up is it possible, to do it,
Can we push it forward to
like, that's what I was thinking, push it forward to the,
next week.
18th?
well, like the 16th, 17th, 18th, in that time frame. Got a meeting on the 15th, and then you could push it after that. Is that possible?
Or 15th here.
Right here,
Right.
15th.
I can't do anything that week. I get on a plane Monday and fly home the following Sunday.
Okay. All right.
22nd and
Yeah, 22nd is going to have to be. Okay. And we'll bring you up for
No problem.
oh, chickens.
Okay. All right, so we'll make it for May 22nd. We'll leave it like that, Barb.
At 5:30.
Yeah, 5:30.
At City Hall.
City Hall, yep.
Okay.
5:30 at City Hall. All right, second segment, meeting open to the public. Do we have anything? Anybody to discuss anything? None?
Liz.
Oh, Liz does? Okay.
Good morning. Liz Fairbanks, 24360 Yukon Street, St. Francis. Just bringing up the cameras. I read that today, and to be honest, I was quite disappointed. It might be in our budget, but isn't it in the general fund? And now, if it is in fact in the general fund, why are we not helping our St. Francis residents? We got those old folks coming up here begging us, you guys, to help them. And they're on a fixed income. Where is this relief that we're supposed to be getting for the St. Francis residents on city water? I hear this day in and day out. Is there a lot of theft at this liquor store? I mean, like a lot. Have you guys even asked to look at the last 5 years of the reports of theft? Just to make sure and to clarify everything is correct? And why do we need cameras on the outside? That's what I want to know. Is there stuff going on outside that we don't know about? Is there vandalism? There's a hell of a lot of vandalism on that gas station, and no one's doing anything about that as of yet. I'm just disappointed in all of you right now, and I'm not even kidding. We need to help our St. Francis residents. That's why I do what I do up here. That's why I'm the bad guy a lot of the times, because I'm still fighting for our people. Also then, with this referendum, BS, I want to point out that, again, the St. Francis residents are being affected again. Now that's got nothing to do with you guys per se, but you guys have to think about this. Obviously, the board doesn't care. We have one person on the board that lives in St. Francis. The rest of them live out. They are not on city water, or at least on St. Francis city water. They're getting sick of it. We need to help our people, or you are just going to lose this town. And I also wanted to get it on record that I'm extremely, extremely disappointed with the charter. We are getting rid of somebody who cares about the St. Francis Fire Department. It's hard enough to get staff to do that, to volunteer. And we lose somebody. They had to choose if they wanted to help the city or do the fire department. The city's going backwards. Quite honestly, I want to move. Thanks.
Okay. Let me just be, Darcy, this money for this camera is out of the liquor muni fund, I take it? So it's not in the general fund. All right, so I just want to stipulate that, okay? I understand what you're thinking is that there's not a lot of theft, but an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. So, I mean, maybe the cameras that exist that, I mean, you may drive around some houses and see some dummy cameras up or just an ADT sign or something like that to stifle people from taking over. Just a minute, Joe. You know, you take over some people, you know, just that mindset that there might be somebody watching you to make you not go to that house or whatever, that sign alone. I've seen some people do that, just faking that. But I don't know, maybe Todd, you could tell me something as far as where these may not have been the best quality or out of date technology in that store, but you know, having a presence of something there may have been a helpful hand. Is that possible?
The cameras, you know, when we look to them as a resource, when there is a theft that occurs, and I can pull up stats and see how often they occur, the cameras are just not much help. The reason for exterior cameras, if we can't pick a person out inside the store who they are, the license plate's the next best thing. You know, we like to solve crimes.
And this system's how old right now? Over 10 years, I believe so.
I can't answer
Over 10 years. But like I say, once again, it's out of the liquor immunity fund. It was scheduled and planned for. It's not out of the general fund. You know, I want to also make clear here, and I've said this more than once, and the council has too. I mean, we understand the water rates. We pay the water rates. Okay? I mean, you know, you're not seeing the things that we're trying to investigate on the side, all of us, staff and everybody. We're doing everything we can. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that it can be done overnight. I mean, you know, some people dropped off some wands at my house, and I wish they were magical wands, but they're not. If they were, I'd be using them already. I mean, I'd like to solve this problem with a wave of the hand, but I can't do that, you know. And as far as, you know, you know, your issues about, you know, governing is easy. We sat and where you're sitting right now, and for 2 years looking at this end of it, and now we're at this end looking out. And I'm telling you, it's not easy. Government doesn't move fast. I'm not making excuses. We are leaving no stone unturned. And if you just be patient here, we want to get the rates down. All of us do. Every one of us. I mean, Rich is a septic a well, but the rest of us aren't up here. So.
She did ask, though, did you look at a 5-year report from the liquor store on the theft before you decided to throw out 18 grand? Any of you?
Well, that's a good question. No.
Okay.
I didn't have enough
And that's what
information.
we're looking for too as residents, is just more investigation. We want more answers to see, yeah, we had 30 robberies or 30 in the last 5 years. We're like, yep, do it, all right, go for it. But we're not, you guys can even look into that.
Well, that's the question, does the 18 grand, does
Figure with $1.3 million you're spending with 24-hour police coverage. If we can't do our
Do you want him to
job,
stand up at the podium?
Yeah, get up at the podium, Joe, if you're going to speak.
I guess with $1.3 million, if our police force can't do their job in policing our community without the employees protecting the liquor store, then maybe it's time to look at a different option for police department, because that's it's a cop-out. You know, I lived in Coon Rapids and I watched Brad Weiss go up in front of his city council and explain to him how they changed the prepaid gas in Coon Rapids and how it was a serious larceny crime because he wanted to sit behind a desk or do whatever it is he wanted. But, you know, I've seen this time in and time out again. I come down Rum River Boulevard. I see the police in the morning. They're sitting in there drinking coffee on my way to work, and I come down Rum River Boulevard, and they're sitting down off the side road. It's just like I come down Ambassador, you know, Bridge Street today. Here's a citizen of St. Francis directing traffic. And we have a state patrol on site on an investigation of an accident. Well, the St. Francis officers sitting in the car and the citizens directing traffic. I think it's pretty ridiculous when we're spending $1.3 million and we're spending almost $1,000 for an electric bill because somebody can't shut the lights off over there.
You know, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think a lot of the issues with the camera, to me, it's more than just theft. It's liability. If somebody slips and falls, if something happens on the outside, maybe a hit and run. There's a lot of things that can happen that surveillance system solves.
You're carrying a GPS beacon in your pocket. If you want to live in Orson Wells 1980.
Joe, get up to the podium if you're going to speak.
All right, we're crossing into definitely a different area. I mean, we want to start putting cameras up here, there, everywhere. All right, we're trading our securities for our liberties for our securities. And everybody in this town wants to start putting cameras up everywhere. If you can't trust your own fellow neighbor, then maybe you should move to a little fenced-in community. Because it's ridiculous.
Well, Joe, do you lock your house when you leave?
No, I don't.
You leave your keys in the car, you leave your garage door open?
I leave my garage door open, you sure do.
I am going to say that
With
it is-
$40,000 worth of motorcycles in there too.
I am going to say that it's foolish at this day and age for anybody to leave their house unlocked, leave their car keys in their car. I've had a vehicle stolen out of my driveway. I have had my house broken into. You know, and I carry a gun. I'm a concealed carry. Somebody walks in, you know, I will pull the trigger, and everybody on my block knows it. And my house still got broken into.
Granted.
My vehicles
Not
have
the
got
50s
broken into.
anymore, but we don't need cameras everywhere.
My vehicles have got broken into. If you go into any business, Walmart, County Market, any place, you go to the dollar store, they have
$1.3
cameras.
million, and they're still breaking into cars and stealing cars out of your driveway. Then justify the $1.3 million
What do you
for
want
your
me to do,
24-hour police coverage.
Joe, should I make a motion to appoint everybody a police officer to sit in their house?
Although they already have it going where there's county watches or city block watches doing it because they're still breaking into cars. They're still stealing things. They're still, I mean, if we want to live in North Minneapolis, fine, you know. But what I'm saying is something
that's
differently
happening here.
needs to be looked at and addressed. Whether it be putting up more cameras, you know, which I don't agree with, or whether we have another patrolman on site, or whatever it may be. There has to be a different option rather than spending $18,000 to have cameras so nobody has to do anything and then justify it when they don't do anything.
How much do you think it's going to cost to hire another patrolman? A lot more than $18,000.
It's already in the budget.
$18,000.
I believe.
$18,000 is coming out of the liquor store fund. It is self-funded.
That's fine, but still.
And
it's
it
the
is like
fact that
having
they put
somebody there
cameras up.
babysitting 24/7. To me, that's smart money. It really is.
I think it's foolish.
Chief, let's have some input from your end. I mean, he brings up some points there, so what are you doing for coverages? I mean, you know, let the public know that. I mean,
Well, we have 1 to 2 officers on at a time. We have 24 square miles. Crime is going to happen. If you go to Coon Rapids, like you mentioned, let alone North Minneapolis, you're talking our 5,000 calls a year, there's 60,000 calls a year. It depends on population. Crime happens. A lot of the crime that we have in our community involves our own residents. It's not people coming from the outside stealing our stuff, it's our own residents. And we deal with it. We can't be on every street corner, every driveway. That's why we have an investigator, and he solves a lot of crimes. We do what we can with what we have. And I think we have a heck of a police force, and I think we get a lot of convictions. Unfortunately, we can't prevent all crime, but we do what we can after the fact. The cameras at businesses, they want to protect their assets. It's pretty simple. They don't have personal security.
right, and to be honest with you, I mean, I could understand this being more of a problem if it was being taken out of the general fund for something that wasn't budgeted or you know, prepared, planned for, you know. But this was planned for, and it's through the liquor community fund. I mean, we're not taking it away from, we're not adding a cost on to the water sewer people to suffice the $17,500. This camera was in place for many years. I believe it might have been a deterrent. I think as I stated before, I mean, just cameras, you know, fake cameras in houses you may see, or just an ADT sign or some security signs. Just people get them in the mail, just stick them on or whatever, and that can deter somebody too. By the way, you know, one of my neighbors got robbed here during the summertime, and he had cameras up and still got robbed. I mean, so they knew how to walk between the houses where it was in between the sites of the video.
And there we use them cameras. When residents bring that footage to us, we have gotten burglary convictions and other things by residents' cameras.
I mean, no one wants our country to be 1984, the book. No one wants that. I understand that, you know. And again, I emphasize that this was not something that was unbudgeted. It wasn't a wish list. That doesn't happen here anymore. We are working on budgets starting in June for 2018. We have a new capital improvement plan. All the department heads are putting their budgets together. There's no more wish list here unless it's an emergency type of item. So we are being our due diligence. You know, we can't make everybody happy. Our whole premise and what we campaigned on was to make the majority of the residents happy to the best of our ability, and that's what the council is what I believe we're trying to do here. But we're never going to make everybody happy. And as far as the water rates and that, I can only say, be patient. We understand your problem. We pay that same bill. If you think I'm happy opening up my water bill for 2 people at $123 a month, well, you must have your heads examined, because I'm not happy about it. And believe me, because I'm not happy about it, neither is Joe Muehlbauer, Jerry Tabate, Rob Bauer. excluding you because you're on septic well and you're
No,
lucky. But he's still concerned about it. Still concerned about it. He's a council member. He doesn't govern just for septic or well or city sewer. He governs for the people. So we are looking at this in a big way. We've had many meetings on this, and we'll get to a solution here, but it will not happen overnight. I cannot emphasize that enough. I wish it would. If I had my choice between winning a Powerball and lowering the water rates, I'd take the water rates right now, if I could do that, but I can't.
Well, I got one quick question. I guess
The other gentleman had his turn, I don't know if I'm supposed to sign up, right? Whatever the procedure is on that,
Name and address.
The thing is, I think...
Name and address, please.
We should.
Leroy, name and address.
Oh, that's it. Leroy T. Schaefer, 4526 234th Avenue Northwest. Yeah, I got that right. The thing is, I think we should maybe, there's one county right now is investigating, there's one city is investing with, I can't remember the county, I think it's been on the news, about combining with the county. We should look into those things and see if that is an efficient way of doing it. We don't know, I don't know either, but maybe it can be done better by the county. Maybe we can combine police forces. This is an old subject matter, not to some of you, but some it isn't. It can be done. I looked it up once. There was 3 cities that did combine their police forces and are working pretty good now. Now, never got to the point, and never got the opportunity to get to the point of finding out how good. And that's what you've got to find out. And that, it's worth your time, I think, to look into it, at least. You might say, okay, I don't want these policemen to worry about their job necessarily, but they should worry about them if they can't, if we can't get the results that we want. I'm not saying nothing about these good men. But nevertheless, there are different ways of doing things. Maybe we don't have the best setup in far as the city is concerned in that, and how to conduct our police forces. Maybe more cameras. I don't know, I did my hearing isn't what it used to be. Maybe we put cameras around, and maybe we have one officer that I think takes care of phone calls and stuff like that as an office girl. Maybe she can be looking at the cameras in the city in areas that are prone to crime. The businessmen love that stuff anyway, I think. I would think they would. They're probably the ones that get affected most by crime. So and that's all I want to say. I want to put that out to you. You guys knock it around. It's your job to do that. I'm just giving suggestions, that's all. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Roy.
Thank you. Thanks, Leroy.
I had a question for clarification as far as it's in the budget, but it's out of the muni fund. Is their entire budget out of the muni fund? I mean,
Liquor store?
yeah,
Yes,
they're self-sustained.
That is run completely out of the liquor.
So not one dime out of the general fund goes to them at all. Not one
Budgeted,
dime
but
out
it
of the
came out
general
of the
fund
fund.
goes to them at all.
Confused me a little bit.
I'm saying not one dime out of the general fund goes to liquor, they're
Actually,
self-sustained.
the liquor store transfers money to the general fund, to help out the general fund.
Let me say something here about the police. I mean, and I can only speak for me campaigning. The police issue is a divisive issue. In this city, it's for or against, okay? This is not something that can be done easily, and as I ran, and I can only speak for myself at my campaign, if it were ever to get to that point, it would have to be a referendum. I'm going to tell you, it's a hot-button divisive issue. I feel the right course of action, at least I feel, and the council, of course, can have their input to it, but the chief is new to being the chief. He was a sergeant and then an acting chief, and now he is the chief, okay? We need to give him ample time and support to work out the bugs, and I believe everything in this city is a work in progress. From the changes we made with the new engineering company, to a new planning company, to a new development director who's in her 2nd year here, to all the changes we're doing, to a new website coming out. This is a work in progress. Nothing is a slam dunk, and nothing is going to be done overnight, and nothing is etched in stone where it can't be changed or amended. I believe the chief needs the support, especially now that he is the chief, and again, he went through a time frame of being the sergeant and acting police chief when Jake Reeling was sick, and now that's still, I think that was a rock and a hard place for him, because he wasn't he was an acting chief and not the full chief. He was waiting for Jake to come back, and Jake didn't. Now he is the chief. And I believe as a chief, you've only got, what, about 6 months into it right now, something like that?
Yep,
5 months? Okay. We have to give him all the support we can. If we have questions on it, it's our due diligence and responsibility and your responsibility as residents to bring up any questions or concerns you have about the police. The police aren't perfect, we're not perfect. It's a work in progress. But like I say again, this is a hot button issue here. So to just go slam dunk out the door here and say we're gonna get rid of the police in this city, I mean, I wouldn't even try to think of that. I wouldn't even do that. I'd be cutting my own throat and I won't do that. It's a referendum vote if it ever comes to that, but before it comes to that, we're gonna give all the support we can, at least, I say this we, I hope I can speak for the council's point of view on that point. We're gonna give all the support we can to the chief. We have a finance committee meeting every month, and we had a first meeting with the chief and public works this one. We'll have all the departments and they'll be rotating. It was more informational this first one. The next one will be a little more looking at the budgets and see where we can streamline, make things work a little better. I know the chief has just got a radar gun with his forfeiture fund and that. So these are some good things for traffic and that. We're modernizing as we can. There's things that have not been done in the last 20 years that can be done differently. But once again, it's a work in progress. So anything done here today can be amended or changed down the road. And the chief, I believe, is doing a good job myself. And I believe he'll be on top of it. He runs the department in a good way. I think I'm on the Joint Law Enforcement Council with him, and he's all business. So let's give him an opportunity, and we'll be in discussion with this. But right now, at this particular time, I cannot go with anything else other than that.
You know, Mr. Mayor, there's one thing that I'd like to add. We had a citizen say that he sees police officers sitting in their cars and whatnot, and I think there's a lot of things that the citizens don't know. For example, that's actually a strategy versus going back to the police house and doing the reports. They could actually be visible on someplace, and they can do a report in their car, and when people see a police officer, they naturally slow down, they naturally obey laws. So part of that is just being out and visible, maybe not necessarily doing law enforcement stuff. Maybe they're just typing their reports in their car. But at least they're out there being seen and perhaps closer to an accident rather than rolling up into the police station and sitting there the last 45 minutes of the day doing the reports. You know, it's actually a good strategy, and it's one thing that I had learned and when I got my public works degree. If you have a place that has a lot of graffiti, you want to try and partner with the police and see if somebody, hey, you know, when the cops doing the reports, can they sit out at that park and, you know, deter some vandalism or something like that. And I know that's a strategy that we employ here. So just because you see something as a snapshot doesn't necessarily mean you're getting the entire picture either.
Well, I agree, and like I've always said here at any meetings I've gone to, is like, sign is only as good as the enforcement behind it, and presence makes a big deal, so we know that. And you know, the police can't be everywhere, that's impossible. Even if you had 100 cops here, it wouldn't make a difference as far as you still have crime, you know, we know that on a national level. But also the cameras, by the way, are a good helping hand tool, because if we do catch somebody, then you can proceed, you know. I know as a contractor, when I don't want somebody to come on a work site that I'm at, I have to have a no trespassing sign, otherwise the police can't do anything. So, I mean, I always post no trespassing signs. I mean, if we don't let the police know there's a problem, we should help them with extra eyes. I think the cameras do that in a good way. It also it's more clear and gives you a better picture. And once again, if it was an item coming forth, I'd probably maybe be a little more open-minded to putting on delay or down the road or whatever, but it's not that, you know, it's been funded and it's been funded properly. But once again, like I say, we're working with the finance committees on budgets and stuff like that, tightening where we can. The majority of the police payroll of their budget is payroll. I mean, that's a fact. So, and we have to pay a decent wage to get decent police, otherwise we won't get the quality that we need to run the city properly. So, you know, like I say again, hopefully I'm speaking for the council at this time, but he's only been the true chief here for 5 months. We need to give him ample time to come up to the plate and hit a home run. That's what I'm looking for. And I know we're here to cover you, as you are hopefully to cover us. We're working here as a team. We're trying to put a team mindset in this city now for the first time. So I hope the public can understand. I know people are going to be mad here. You saw that tonight and all that. that's always going to happen. But we're trying to be logical and objective. Tim, you have something to say?
If I may.
Podium.
Tim Brown, 5268 Ambassador Boulevard, St. Francis. As far as the police go, I think they're doing a fine job. And as far as my tax dollars, which I pay probably more than most citizens in the city, if my tax bill went up $500 a year for just the police, I would have no problem at all with it. Our former chief of police, one night at 10:30 at night, I'm sitting out in a rural area, way out the road, car comes up, 10:30 on a Sunday night. Former chief of police knew that car didn't belong on that property. He followed him up, I didn't know what was going on. So Tim grabs the AR-15, ready to go and have some fun. In Minnesota, like Jerry, I carry a weapon all the time too. Unfortunately, the state of Minnesota, it's not a stand your ground state. So I would have been in a lot of trouble. Luckily, I saw the cherries on the car. And then later on, I found this guy here had been followed by the police out that way. He had possession of meth, a bunch of other drugs, had several warrants out for his arrest, violent behavior, and my family sitting there, way out there. I'm glad the police are here. And if they want to increase taxes to get more police, fine. I'll pay it gladly.
Thank you, thank you. I will ask the chief one question here, because Mr. Milbaum, we were driving on Bridge Street too, and we saw that accident. And we did see a sheriff's car, and then we saw our car here. But we did also see a civilian directing traffic. So was there a reason for that? Or
I can look into that.
Okay.
I'm not sure what time that accident took place.
We're on the way here, actually.
It was about 5:30, yeah, and it was right in front of Casey's. But we saw the accident, and one of our police squad cars, and then we saw a county sheriff's car. Was it a county sheriff, or was it
It was a county sheriff, and then there was a
State Patrol.
So I thought it
Was
was
it
State
State
Patrol.
Patrol?
Yeah,
I think so.
State Patrol, yeah.
He was
And then it was a lady who might have been in the accident, I'm not sure, but she was the one directing
And a
traffic.
high schooler was also out there directing traffic.
Okay, all right. So if you can look into that, I mean, and like I say, we want to find out the answers to your questions. We're not trying to void anything here, and I say we as the council, we're not. I mean, we ran on transparency, that's the way we are. We're not going to make you happy all the time, and we're not going to try to do that because that's impossible. So we're just going to govern the best we can and work for the majority of the residents at large, which is what we said all along we would do. So I think that's the best thing I can say right now. But again, it's a work in progress, and we want to give the police chief all the support that we can, and at the end of the day, if that doesn't work out, then we'll make the steps forward from there. But until then, we'll continue the way we are. Anybody else have anything to say on that issue? Nobody else on open the meeting? Okay, all right. So now, I guess, Chief, you're up for the monthly report.
Tell us all the good things you do.
Thank you.
Well, Mayor, Council, in front of you have the quarterly report from the first quarter at the police department. The stats are pretty consistent with previous quarters. Theft actually has substantially dropped since January and February. I don't have the exact numbers, but I can get them to you if you wish. A lot of the thefts that occurred in the first quarter after January were school-related or business-related. In the area of speed enforcement, we have been conducting some saturation details in the mornings and afternoons in the peak traffic times in our busy areas in and around the school, and also 47 and County Market area. We have issued a substantial amount of citations primarily for speed in them areas, and we'll continue to do them saturations from time to time. As mentioned, the police department did purchase a handheld laser radar gun that will be used over the summer for enforcement details in various locations. We're going to utilize our school resource officers for their details, and also as some primarily traffic cars over the summer. We're still in the hiring process to fill the vacant position. We're going to be holding second interviews here on this Thursday for the top 6 candidates. And from there, we'll get the top 2 out of there. We'll conduct some background investigations and see where we end up, and hopefully have the new officer begin their duties by early June is the anticipated goal at this point. And just as a reminder that the police department will have many new programs popping up here this summer. June will be the bike rodeo, and the car seat clinic will be in early June, the week of Pioneer Days. And we'll also have our first block captain meeting scheduled for the new neighborhood watch program here this month. So all in all, the police department, the employees are putting in a lot of their free time, a lot of their days off. They're contributing to these programs, and it's really, it's a way that we're trying to bring the community and the police to work together on a little better scale than we used to be. And I think working in collaboration with each other is a lot better than just the police department getting calls and responding. I think, you know, if neighbors know what their neighbors are doing to a certain extent, and they know who their neighbors are, I think it can help them as well as us. And it's not a way to get them to do our jobs for us. I think Neighborhood Watch is nationwide. It's been around for years and years, and you know, I think it's time that we got it going here, and it's been proven to deter crime and bring crime levels down. So that's why we're doing it.
Now, let me ask you, this new officer, Chad, and you mentioned that at our finance meeting, this individual, this police officer will be devoted to trafficking?
We're going to try it, yep, to begin with. Once the new officer is through their training and through their FTO process, we anticipate having a car primarily for traffic enforcement and to do the details with the laser guns.
And of course, when school goes out of session, then we have the 2 resource officers from there to help out too. Okay. Because we know about speeding problems in areas, and this will help out a lot. But I think one dedicated officer is going to be a good idea, especially with that radar gun too. Eventually, people will learn that we are watching. So I think that's a good thing. I want to ask you here. This was this was just something I saw during our, as I was reading my packet. But in the 5K run, that's going to be kids walking and the bed race that we've approved. I noticed that something that said here, please contact the St. Francis Police Department regarding number of officers needed for this event, and it says none needed. I just want to know if you agree with that.
For the Pioneer Days?
Yeah, Pioneer Days. This is for the kids walk and the bread race, which is from 11:30 to 12:30.
In the bed race, I believe the bed race, they usually shut the roads down before that.
Okay.
But the 5K, we have many 5Ks throughout the year in St. Francis, but some of them they've utilized streets for them races. Lately, they've been trying to hold them just in the parks and things like that, where they're not even crossing intersections anymore. So that might be the reason that they're not requesting us this year. I'm not sure. I haven't had anybody reach out to me on that.
Okay, so you agree with that then?
As long as they're not crossing any major roads, but if they are, we have used our reserve officers primarily for that to help out, so to get them across the roads and stop traffic.
Just that I'd seen that, and I was just kind of wondering because it's something new, and I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Okay. Because they say they have estimated participants 50. The starting time is 11:30 to 12:30, so, okay. But the street is blocked off.
For the bed race, I believe. I'm not sure. For the 5K, typically not, but, because I think the bed race typically takes place right before the parade starts, and they shut the roads.
So it's there, okay. All right, that answers my question on that one. Anybody else have any question for the chief?
I have a question, I guess, the Anoka County Mobile Field Force team. Could you explain that more? That's the first time I've ever heard that.
The Mobile Field Force team is basically it's a team going to be made up of Anoka County officers from each agency, and they're going to send as many officers as they can, depending on the size of the agency. It's basically a team that's going to be put together to be called out for any major protest situations or anything like that. Most of that gear, if not all of it, I believe, came from our forfeiture funds as well. Our officers are going to be Anoka County specific only. Some of the larger agencies, if there's, for instance, like the Dakota protests and things like that, they would send, the Sheriff's Office did send some of their personnel up there to assist with that. Ours won't, they're just going to be Anoka County specific, but it's just basically a team made up of Anoka County officers that are going to be deployed to these locations to try to keep the peace. And we have 2 officers that are going to be dedicated to that.
Do we have special training for that?
They will have special training in June.
And then picks up the bill for that?
For the training,
Yeah.
it'll be up to the police department.
Then I guess with the shields, I was curious, how many, I mean, is that, do you think practically we would use them in the city, or is that typically for the mobile force?
The shields that I put in the packets?
Yeah.
Them are not the shields that the field force will be using. Them are ballistic shields that, there are situations where we could have used them. They're for the officers working their everyday duties.
One other question I have is, now we talked about this at the finance committee, so I guess I just wanted out. You're going to see how the radar gun works, and then if it works good, we might talk about getting another one, if it's possible. And then also, we talked about getting one of those other data machines too, if things go, because I know there's more than one street, and it's kind of hard.
The speed sign?
Yeah, speed sign. It's too hard to split one of them amongst 4 to 6 areas, I think anyways. Because you're sitting one in an area for a month, and you're losing out the other 5 areas. So there's something, we moved from one that was 15 years old to the new one. I think the new one did a good job as far as I can see from the data we've collected. So just something I want to plant a bug in your ear, whether it's a budget or whatever. I mean, I know forfeiture is your money, but I just thought I always like to plant a bug if I can. Anything else from the police chief?
I got something, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
That accident today, I would like you to employ your officers to call out the fire department to do traffic control. It is very, very bad that we had residents out there directing traffic. That makes our city look bad. We have a fire department that can help with that type of stuff. Let's get our police to call our fire department to run these scenes.
Yeah. And typically they do. I'm not sure what happened today, but.
All right, well, chief will check on that, so.
Yeah, just a couple of things. First of all, thanks for the report. This is the kind of stuff I'd love to see. As far as that mobile field force is concerned, I do believe it's important. We are citizens of Anoka County, even though we're kind of up here on our own. I do think it's even though we would have to pay for the training, we are still citizens of this county, and I think it's still our duty to help out with those things when we can, even though we are a force of, 11 or 13 or whatever.
10 currently.
So I'm all for that. And like I said, let the chief go off and work his action items. Who knows, it might have been a firefighter that was, and odds are it probably wasn't if you saw the person, but let him go do some research and let him come back and tell us what he can find out about that accident today.
Yeah, because I just want to add here that if it was residents doing it, there's also a liability factor there too if they get hurt, so we don't want that either. But I agree, let's the chief do some research on it and get back to us.
I guess for me, my biggest, I don't know, I get hung up on words sometimes, and I understand protests can get out of hand, but protests, if they can remain peaceful, obviously, I don't like the thought of any kind of, authority figure having to be out there. I understand that they can get out of hand, and sometimes it is necessary. Maybe I'm an idealist, but it just bothers me. I mean, protests are huge, and that's, it's a good thing. People need to speak and stand up for what they believe in. And, obviously, as long as everybody's honorable on both sides, there won't be a problem.
Well, let's work it on the adage that better to have it not need it than to need it not have it. So, on that, I guess I'll bring some of the stuff up on my mayor's report and all that, but is that all, Chief, that you've got? Anybody else have a question for the Chief at this time? Okay, thank you, Chief. Moving on to council member reports. Terry, we'll start with you.
I just want to remind everybody, it is on the agenda, but there's a pet clinic coming up this weekend on the 6th at the fire station, 9 to noon. It's a great place to bring your little fur babies in there, give them the rabies shots and whatnot. And also, you're going to be seeing these pamphlets around, these little flyers, brochures. I want to do a little plug, and I know the mayor's going to do a plug on it. St. Francis Forward. We're having a meeting Wednesday, May 24th, to try and get some public input on how the comp plan should be set up. And this is the citizens' opportunities to try and look towards the future and say, what do we want our city to be like So I want to encourage everybody to show up May 24th, and 6:30 to 8:30, it's going to be right here. So if you see these brochures around, you know, pick one up. I think everybody's going to get one in the mail, Kate. Take an hour out, 2 hours out, come to this meeting and you know, make yourself be heard and you know, put your 2 cents in. So, thank you.
That's right. Joe?
I guess for me, 2 things. My oldest son is in Coon Rapids baseball, and 13-year-olds, and they play St. Francis, so I will be wearing red those days.
Oh, traitor.
And secondly and lastly, I guess I got to attend the charter meeting, and echoing what a resident said, I'm disappointed in the reasoning. I understand that there could be legitimate concern. I think the biggest issue I have is we previously, and Rich wasn't there for that, so all fairness to that, that he wasn't there to make his vote. I don't know what he would have voted. But to me, it seems kind of contradictory to see that they see a conflict and they don't give somebody the dignity to fail on their own. As I see a bigger conflict with having a quorum on the charter meeting and then coming to the council to vote on what the charter meeting decided when the charter is supposed to act as a check and balance. And that's my opinion on that. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Rob, you're next.
I'd like to put out that Independent School District 15 is having a bond referendum on May 23rd. And if you would like your taxes to go up, you should get out there and vote. If you would like your taxes to go down, you should get out and vote. All their information is on the website. It's May 23rd. Get out and vote and let your voices be heard.
School district website.
School district website.
Well, it's on the city website too.
The only other thing I have is I'm very disappointed that our city attorney was not at the charter meeting when the charter was asking legal questions before they made a ruling. So that'll be something I'll speak to you about later. That's all I have.
Okay, Rich?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I have is I think I'm gonna be absent the May 16th meeting. Right now, or May 5th, whatever that Monday is.
15th, yeah.
Yeah, right now I think I'll be on an airplane, but if something changes, I will let you know.
Okay, all right, that's good. Dave, on what Rob said there, there was a sheet that was handed out by Rob at the end of that charter meet. Have you gotten a copy of that one?
I believe that Scott received that.
Because, you know, one of the comments I made at that meeting, and I'm a member of the Charter Commission, and I happen to agree with the individual in the audience. We've lost firefighters are hard enough to get, you know, quality firefighters, and we've lost a firefighter. Well, we've gained a council member. So, you know, if you look at it at glass 3/4 full, I guess you could say we've got a good council member and we lost a firefighter. But I wonder why we couldn't have both and do it in a common sense, objective viewpoint. It wasn't done like that. I was frustrated with myself, but at the same time, and again, all fairness, Rich wasn't there, so it's been done. But I just questioned why, again, because it's hard to find quality firefighters as quality police officers, and it's hard to get people involved, period, in anything. People complain a lot, but they don't get involved a lot. And when you have somebody who actually wants to be part of the community in 2 ways, I think you should almost take advantage of it. That's just my opinion as a person. I was on the commission and voted against it myself, but that was just my thought. Now, I've got a couple things I want to say also beyond that. Let's see, recycling day. I spent all day on Saturday recycling, passing out these flyers as Jerry talked about. And this, by the way, is a very important thing here. We need to get, you know, it's your city. It's time for you to step up to the plate and help us make the future plan here a viable plan. Give us your 2 cents. And I've also told, so Barb knows this too, I told a lot of people, if you can't make the meeting, call in with an idea if you have it. You know what I mean? Call in, jot down the idea and we'll bring it forth to us. But we'd like to see you there because I think that's a much better thing to show your involvement. But it's a good thing to do. That's why we named it St. Francis Forward. This is for a comp plan for up to 2040. you know, people have some great ideas.
To email your idea.
You can email it in, oh, absolutely.
Just
Call it in.
We don't have a call center,
Well, we have our staff, and we can do either, whatever is convenient for you, okay? I don't care if you email it, I don't care if you're setting up smoke signals, but if you have an idea, bring it forth, that would be a good thing. And, but getting back to recycling day, I want to commend staff on all levels. It was a fun day, the weather cooperated, a little windy, but not bad, and everything went, I mean, the entrances in, the exits out, everything went, I was amazed how many mattresses and tires there were. Okay, boy, I didn't know anybody had that much, and barbecue grills and whatnot, but I thought it was a great day. We had over 403 cars. They wouldn't let me take the money or deal anything serious, so I was able to pass out flyers, which I did. You know, so I just the mayor, but they let me do that much anyways. But I just want to commend staff on it all the way around. What a great day, and I think the people enjoyed it. I saw some people come back 4 or 5 times, which was great. It's a great time to clean up. I know as a contractor, one time I don't want to put a dumpster out as in April for spring cleaning because you get a lot of stuff beyond building the material in there. But anyway, thanks again for everybody that did that day. Really do appreciate it. Let's see. As far as involvement, you know, this is one of our big concerns. I know Jerry brings this up all the time. Actually, we all do as a council. How to get people involved. You're going to be seeing a new website come online here in August. We're working on that now. You're going to be able to access community codes, road projects. You'll be able to see it all. You'll be able to subscribe. These are all good things. We need some input from there on that if you have any ideas that you'd like to see on that website, but it's going to be more progressive. It's one way of communication. I can't guarantee that all people will use it, but I do believe, however, that more people will use it than the one we have right now, so it's a good thing. But it's a tool like anything. The main thing is, we're all tools. Staff is a tool, council is a tool, and you, the residents, are a tool. It's a 3-way formula. A plus B plus C equals success of a town. We all have to learn to work together, and it's a work in progress all the time. I can't stress that enough in any form or any way I say it, just as I can't stress enough to signal your turns when you go through the roundabouts. I know I was going to put that in no matter what. I am starting to see some people do that, which maybe if I nag enough, they'll all do it. But anyway, I'll take some credit anyway. But also getting back again to water rates and stuff like that, we hear you, okay? To the cameras, to everything out there, we hear you. We're not a deaf ear here, okay? And again, I just want to say to you that you know, the gentleman that was in disgust of it and the lady that was, they're on septic well, so they actually were caring about residents that are on city sewer and water, and that's a good thing. But we are working on it. We don't have a deaf ear. We're doing everything we can. You'll see some things come later, soon I hope, sooner than later. There are other things in the works here, but until they get, you know, some properties that are for sale and stuff like that, as they get out and we can put it out, we'll definitely let you know. I mean, there's nothing behind closed doors here anymore. There's nothing lack of transparency. We're doing it a different way now. We hope you see it, and I hope you get involved, because that's a good thing. Public getting involved is a necessary tool to making this government work in whole. And I hope that you understand that. I hope you keep an open mind and all.
Can I add one more thing
Please,
quick too?
please.
I would encourage everybody too to get hold of your senator and push the bonding issue. The money's there, but they have to release it. We've done everything that we can as a city to apply for it, all that stuff. I contacted Ms. Benson and, or Senator Benson, I guess I should say, and pushed it to her. You know, the more people that, I believe there's power in numbers, and I think if we're more active, we can hopefully encourage somebody to do something.
Yeah, and on that, I just want to say to you that we've been in touch with the League of Minnesota Cities that sent us a document today on the House came out today, the State House came out today with their proposal for the bonding issue, which has been held up for 2 years. Now it has to commingle with the Senate version and the governor's version, and they've only got 3 weeks left. So like Mr. Muehlbauer alluded to, if you can make calls to those people and let them know this is important here. This bonding money, we had a big meeting with the MPCA recently, and you know, went on camera with them and that, to, you know, and our thought is, the governor's thought and our thought is, the money's there, it needs to be put to use. It's not doing any good in the coffers, collecting interest, as much as it will do good for the cities that have gone to projects like ours that are online now, and other projects that have started are in construction. These were promises were made that haven't been kept yet, so your help is a big help here. If you can make the calls here and let Senator, Representative Dowd, Speaker Dowd know about this along with Michelle Benson, our senator. Let these people know that this is important to us, and basically holding us hostage is not a good thing. They need to do this for the residents, our residents, and their constituents. So any help you can give us would be good. I hope when they get done in the next 21 days, they've mingled those plans together and released those funds, which will help us with those rates. And that's a big thing for all of us. I have a couple things here. I wanted to just bring up attention. I kind of passed this through consent agenda, but here on the gambling thing that was approved here, Barbara, I don't know if I bring this up to you, but there was one date where they had 4/18/19. It should have been 4/18/17.
Okay.
So I'll give you this sheet here if you just want to pass that over to Barb. And then one other thing I had on these three properties, Kate, on this one property here on 3518 Bridge Street, there's a bunch of PIDs, okay, and one of them is 2 times. Is there a reason for that?
Mayor and Council, we actually replatted that last summer.
Okay.
We are waiting for some legal work to get done, and then it'll go down to one PID, and we combined all of those lots.
Okay, so, okay, but I had seen 2 PIDs that were identical out of the 6.
Yeah, and those will all be wiped out with the new one once we have those.
Okay, good. All right, good. Thank you so much. All right, on that, any other further discussion or comments? Upcoming events, Jerry already alluded to the pet clinic on May 6th. Recycling day has already been done. Good job, everybody. No further discussion, comments? I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
What was the vote on Thursday night? 5-1.
4-1. Oh, what was it? 5-1?
5-1, I think.
5-1, that was the one.
Okay.